All right, we are live. I am Cobb, and that's Dave. Our names are on the screen, so I don't need to introduce ourselves. But I wanted to take this opportunity to present something to Dave that I messaged him earlier today, just to say that this was something that was on my mind. And I was hoping that I was going to go on a big old rant and make it super exciting. I'm going to try and get my thoughts together. But the issue that I was having today, I spent a lot of time on Twitter during my boring day job. I sat at a computer and I was just looking at everything that was going on. And Dave, not so much on the Twitter necessarily, like watching everything like a dork like I do. But there's a guy right now called Whale Charts on Twitter. And I'm not going to talk bad about him. This is not, the purpose of this conversation was not for me to go on a rant and, say that I have a problem with someone. I don't want that to be my MO. But I did want to address it because there are just a number of thoughts. And I think there's a lot of people right now that are thinking about this. Hopefully this message is getting out. I know a hexologist discussed it today. And there have been some other people in the hex community who were extremely negative. So, Dave, I'm just going to fill you in first, what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Whale Charts is a fairly large influencer on Twitter. He has about 106,000 followers on Twitter. So he's kind of a big name. The issue is that he lately has been very, very bullish on Hex. And most people would say, well, what's the problem with that? Right? But the problem is that he came out of nowhere. Now, I'm not an OG like you, Dave, but I've been around since last May. And since last May of 2021, I've soaked up a lot of information. I've followed who I feel are all the major players, all the major influencers. And those are people who are essentially like Richard Hart maxis, mostly. They are dedicated to the teachings of Richard Hart, avoiding getting wrecked, avoid trading, be responsible, proof of weight. The concepts that Richard Hart presented are what a lot of Hexicans that's how they live their life. And when we see people who are big time influencers who are essentially degen influencers coming in from the outside and all of a sudden making themselves Hexicans, at least thinking of themselves as Hexicans, it's a little bit scary because one, they didn't earn our trust. You can't just go into someone else's party and say that you're the star of the party, or even just fit right in. If people are playing on a baseball team, I couldn't just show up in the baseball game, put on one of their uniforms and say, hey guys, when am I up to bat? Because they'd look at me and say, dude, we've been practicing together as a team all year. You can't just come on just because you're a real good baseball player and think that, you're going to be the star of the team now. So what happened, actually, I saw on Twitter today, and I did capture this real quick. I believe this came from, what's that website? I can't even think of it now. But there's this website basically that tracks metrics of social influence, all that kind of stuff. And their whale chart is, as of today, the #1 Hex influencer online. #1. He surpassed Hexologist. He surpassed Crypto Coffee or Motley Investor or the Hex Whalebot itself and Jenkins. And B Roots is like #5, I think. So that's sort of the state of Hexico right now, is that we have this brand new degen influencer as #1. And again, I'm not saying degen in a bad term. If Whale Chart ever got a chance to see this video, I don't want him to think that I'm blasting him. The problem just is that, he comes out of nowhere as a Hexican, all day long tweeting about Hex, 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 calling us his Hex brothers, and, showing off on Twitter that he is the #1 Hex influencer. So it's not just that, but he's also intermittently been talking about how he's very excited about Pulsechain and that he can't wait for all the shit coins on Pulsechain because he's going to buy up all the shit coins on Pulsechain, and he knows there's going to be rug pulls, but that's okay because he just loves shit coins. He can't wait to get all the shit coins. And I'm thinking, okay, dude, that's great. You know, knock yourself out and you can tell all of your followers to buy up the shit coins on Pulsechain. But don't get buddy-buddy with the Hexicans because that's not our thing. And he hasn't been around long enough to really get the feeling of what we're all about. Maybe he's been watching from the sideline, but it's scary. So Dave, I'm just going to read what I wrote real quick. I wrote basically like a letter. If I was a blogger, I wrote this letter. And just tell me what you think of this letter. Let me see if I can, how do I open it up? Come on, open up. Okay. So this is my my open letter to the community and to Whale Charts if he's listening. So Hexicans have been subjected to ridicule and mocking for 2 years. We've been gatekept on centralized exchanges and coin trackers like CoinMarketCap, where we've been permanently stuck in position 201. Richard Hart has debated countless skeptics and left a pile of dead bodies in his wake, and major influencers in the crypto space have either dismissed or ignored HEX altogether. Now, all of a sudden, when we're at the precipice of the biggest disruptor in crypto, which is Pulsechain, these influencers with their 10,000, 50,000, and 100,000 followers are coming out of the woodwork and talking about HEX of all things. Saying I'm all for free publicity and I'm not going to badmouth them on social media. But where the heck have they been for the last 2 years when HEX was doing a 10,000x and was the best performing asset in crypto? But Dave, have you seen Spiderman No Way Home? Have you seen that movie?
I don't know. I haven't.
Okay. Well, there's this guy named Flash Thompson from the Spider-Man comics, and he's a bully, and he picks on Peter Parker. And in Spider-Man No Way Home, Peter Parker has been revealed to be Spider-Man. And now all of a sudden, Flash Thompson, who always picked on Peter, tells everyone in the world on national news, global news, that he's friends with Peter Parker. And Peter Parker turned the other cheek. But another example, it's sort of like when the kid down the street who called you a dork every day on the school bus, now he sees that your dad got you a trampoline for your birthday, and suddenly he wants to come over and hang out with you because you got the trampoline or the Sega or a brand new bike. So my message to these influencers is, you know, I'm glad to have you, and hopefully they're seeing the value in what Richard Hart's building, but just don't expect to immediately receive a warm welcome in the Hexican community. We have influencers here who've spent the last 2 years or 2.5 years holding our hands through really tough times. So these influencers just need to prove that you're not a fair weather friend and you have to earn our trust too. And I was really impressed today by Hexologist, who came out in defense, and he posted this. He posted this on Twitter. He said, if someone is being kind to our community, please don't run them off. The only time to pick up our pitchforks is when someone is trying to call HEX a scam or FUD. Other than that, let's be cool. I say we embrace people that have even hated HEX back in the day, but since converted. So Dave, your opinion as a guy who's been with Richard Hart since, I think you said 2017, right? Is when you first found Richard Hart?
Yeah.
And you've seen all of the FUD, and you've had no one to talk to, and you've seen just countless reasons why you should abandon HEX altogether. There are people like Hexologist who carried you through the tough times. And there was Discourse Syndicate, and there was Maddie Allen. What do you think of new people coming out of the woodworks who are essentially degen influencers, you know, influencing HEX and getting their foot in the door?
Well, what these analytics on this guy, when he's supposedly the top influencer, do you know where this is coming from, or how do they come up with these metrics? Or
yeah, I wish, man, you know, because there's probably a lot of people that are going to be, if they're watching this, who are going to be like, dude, yes, this website, it's a big website. They do a lot of analytics for all different coins. It's a paid site, so you have to pay to get this. People take screenshots though, so that's where I got it. There's a lot of other stuff. They just look at the social influence, social metrics altogether. And so this is sort of a combination, I think, of views that he's getting if not just on Twitter, maybe other spaces as well. But it's tracking probably the number of impressions that he's getting in social media. And, according to like hashtag HEX or $HEX. So, there's no doubt probably more eyes today have been on, or in the past week even, have been on his posts about HEX over anybody else's.
Well, my general, I don't know anything about this guy, but my general thoughts are anybody bringing light to Hex, Pulsex, whatever, any Richard Hart thing is a good thing. And even if they're doing degen stuff and their whole audience is degens, they're going to bring some people in, and then they see, okay, this Hex thing, this Pulse thing, it's amazing. And then it's going to switch them from being degen to being more of a long-term thinker, more just none of this, pump and dump stuff. And they're going to, so that once they get brought into this and exposed to the Richard Hart ecosystem of Hex and Pulse and everything, it's good in the long term. Whether, I don't know if the guy's legit, if he's some kind of scammer or what, but he's talking about Hex, which is a good thing. And once they come in, they're going to stick around when they see how good Hex and Pulse, once it launches, actually is. So I don't see any downside. I mean, it is kind of weird. He's trying to take credit for, being the top guy, and nobody knows who he is. I don't know anything about that. But okay, the fact that he's bringing people in and exposing people to Hex and Pulse, okay, it's good. And the reality is, we can't stop them. There's going to be people that try to, ride everybody else's coattails, which that's just how it works.
Yeah.
There's people that got in late on Bitcoin, and now they're saying Bitcoin's the best thing since sliced bread and whatever else. And even though they're 10 years late to Bitcoin, they're trying to basically say that they were the OGs, which, in 20 years, we might look back and say, yeah, okay, they're 10 years late, but they're kind of OG. Even this guy, this Hex whale chart guy, or the Hex charts guy, whatever he is.
Whale charts.
So in 5 years, he will be an OG. Whether he's, I honestly don't know what he's up to, but it's fine. Yeah. He's promoting Hex. He's promoting Pulse. Once you get pulled into the ecosystem, you realize, okay, this is better than Bitcoin and Ethereum. I would say that's a good thing.
Yeah. I want to say that there's no such thing as bad publicity, but my one concern is, and here's, because I wanted to be extremely benevolent, like Hexologist is saying, and there were a lot of other Hexicans that came to this guy's defense. There were other people who were very, very, very cruel, very rude, got into verbal altercations with this guy. But my thought was just, let's say this guy does become a big influencer. Let's say he becomes the permanent top influencer. Hex becomes more viral. We're reaching the masses. Next thing you know, we're listed on centralized exchanges. We're listed on all the coin tracking sites. CoinMarketCap has us #1. And everyone's looking online and saying, okay, who's the biggest influencer on Hex? And everyone's going, oh, it's Whale Charts. Whale Charts is the #1 Hex influencer. And then Whale Chart starts going, hey, guys, got a new hot tip for you. Don't buy Hex right now because there's a new meme coin coming out. You got to have it. All right. And here, actually, you know what? Here's my top 5 meme coins on Pulsechain this week. They're all going to 1000x. And then people start going, okay, yeah, man, he's a real Hexican. And he's the one who's been promoting this. Hex is doing great. It's a real stable, and he's promoting this stuff. And that's when I feel like Richard Hart's going to be in a tough position, because he's either going to have to publicly come out and say, I absolutely disagree with the number one Hex influencer. This is dangerous. Don't listen to this guy. This guy's promoting unhealthy activities. Or Richard's going to have to pull the true founder role and remove himself from the discussion and say, hey, this is my creation, but, you guys need to do your thing. It needs to run its course organically. So, I feel that right now, everything's, whatever, the more publicity we can get, the better. But I feel like there might be a time down the road when we get these people who call themselves Hex influencers, and Matty Allen, if he sees this, I mean, he's got to be just furious, seeing someone come in who's promoting anything that might be unhealthy. A guy that comes right in and says, hey, I'm the number one Hex influencer. I can't wait to give you guys calls on Pulsechain for all the meme coins. That's scary stuff. So I'm keeping an open mind, and I'm definitely not fighting this guy. I'm definitely not shit talking. I just want to say, it's a concern of mine, and I can understand why people are concerned. And if Whale Charts is watching this, I just want him to know that there's a reason why people are on guard. There's a reason why people have been a little combative.
Yeah, and also, like, we don't really know. Like, I don't know if he's a self-proclaimed top Hex influencer or whatever these sites are saying he's the top guy.
Yeah, the site's Lunar Crush.
So he might be the top guy of the week. He's the flavor of the week.
Yeah.
And people will see. So, like, maybe he's influencing people more this week than anybody else during this particular week. But all the other OG people and Richard Hart, everybody else, like, they have the long-term history and support and community and everything else. So maybe this guy's hot right now. Maybe he'll be hot for some time, who knows? But
yeah,
so whatever these analytics are saying, take it with a grain of salt. And also, if the guy does turn out to be promoting scams and rug pulls down the road, people will see through it and they'll bail. Because the true Hexicans that are staked, they know what's going on. It's the fly by night guys that buy it one day and it either pumps and they sell, or it dumps and they sell, whatever. The people that are just in and out, they're going to get fooled by this guy if that's what he's doing. But
I don't think of him as a scammer, though. He's got 100,000 followers. I don't think he has 100,000 followers because he's a known scammer. People look at BitBoy. How many bad calls has BitBoy had over the years? How many people have gotten wrecked because some of these people, that Richard's had debates with? People are getting wrecked constantly. But they have huge followings because people just trust them. They trust their calls. So I'm just afraid that my concern is that OG Hexicans are going to be, at this point, dinosaurs who are going to go extinct. And the new breed of Hexican is going to be, it's just all going to be degen. People are going to forget. I'm concerned. People are going to forget who Hexologist is. People are going to forget who Discourse Syndicate is. Because a lot of us will still know. And OG Hexicans for sure. Anyone that's around right now knows who they are. But, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, is it going to be taken over by degens who are, not adherents to Richard Hart's philosophy?
I mean, that's how things go. That more people come in, it dilutes the whole ecosystem to not the core people. But once somebody stakes, and they're staked for 5, 10, 15 years, whatever, it switches their mindset. So he might be able to fool a few people. The masses that he brings in that actually stake, they're going to be long-term true Hexicans, and they will integrate and be fine. anybody that he brings in for, today, as a, pump and dump person, yeah, maybe they're going to bail out and maybe they're going to get hurt. I don't know. But like I said, maybe the guy is fine. Like maybe there's nothing wrong with him and he's doing everything out of the kindness of his heart and there's no issues there. But regardless, when exposure to people, once they stake, they're in and everything changes for them. It's not a, get in today, get out tomorrow kind of mentality. So I'm not concerned, if he, the more people in, the better. And the more people that actually stake and understand the system and actually incorporate themselves in the community and everything else, that it's going to just be better for everybody.
Yeah.
So I'm not worried.
Yeah. I hope so. I hope that's the case. It's just, I hope it's not a perversion of where OG Hexicans have come from and this beautiful thing that Richard created. And, maybe it's just sad and, you don't want to see change happen. And, especially when it seems like it's not change for the better, but sort of change for the worse. Hopefully this guy's got all best intentions, and it seems that he does. He seems very friendly. He's been very, very open on Twitter. I just wanted to get your thoughts on that, as someone who's been there a lot longer than I have, to see how you're reacting.
And also remember that even the OG Hexicans, we all used to be the same degen people. We were chasing, I'm serious, like we were chasing the latest pump and the latest the hottest coin. What's the narrative? Let's go for that. We were all these same people. And you can talk to any of them that was in, 2016, 2017, 2018, just prior to HEX. Everybody was doing the same thing. But once Richard launched HEX, and we were like, oh, there is a better way. We don't always have to be chasing the latest hot, shiny thing. Like there is a way to just sit back, buy something, stake it, and chill. It's so like we all got converted from our, so-called degen ways or whatever. And now here we are, and we can't criticize these current degen people. If they are or if they aren't, who knows, but we can't criticize them because that's where we came from. And then once we realized that there was a better way, and we're like, okay, let's just relax. We don't always have to be chasing that new shiny object.
That's a real sweet story, Dave.
Yeah.
No, it's awesome. But it's
true. Like if you listen to any one of these Hexicans, every one of their stories, like some people got lucky. They hadn't bought anything. They were no coiners, and they got into Richard Hart on day one or in the first year or something. But all the the real OGs, they went through all of this crypto nonsense prior to HEX.
Okay.
And and all of our mindsets got switched. We're like, okay, there is better things than just jumping into one coin and the next. And, so, it was a process, but now that we've kind of learned the process, we try to protect ourselves a little bit more, and we're cautious around degen type activities, but we can't forget most of us came from that degen world.
Yeah.
And the sooner we can pull somebody out of that degen world into something better, the better everybody is. Specifically the guy that's degenning, he's going to be much better off just staking and chilling, as Kareem says, I guess.
Yeah. And maybe the answer for us is, I'm seeing so many ways that this relates almost to religion. Is, you have a beautiful religion, and then someone comes in and perverts the story. you know, and then changes it, and then you know, then there's a battle between people who are traditionalists versus people who are I don't know, the progressives, and maybe the best way to combat someone like this whale charts is just to influence him with the truth more than he's influencing us, or you know, we influence him positively, you know, before there's any negative influence that comes back.
Yeah, and actually, it's funny you say with a religion or something, because there's like the core people, and then you get splinters, and it divides and everything. I mean, we can kind of see it happening with Matty Allen, and there's some other Hexicans that don't like Hedron, they don't like Maxi, because they think it's taking away, which maybe it kind of is. It's taking away the whole long-term stake thing. Because you can stake long term, but you can bail early with Maxi, with Hedron, all these other things. So like the core old OG Hexicans, when we staked, like we're in, we're locked, and there's no getting out. Now you can get in and you can bail early if you want. And it takes away from that core save yourself from yourself mentality and committing to what you said you would do. So yeah, I mean it's already happening of this slight split, and it does seem like Matty Allen maybe is coming around a little bit. I think he sees that it's a reality. Like there's no way around it. There's smart contracts.
Yeah,
people were going to build something eventually. Even the one that Whales and Kinetics, the grayscale equivalent for Hex, the Hex investment fund, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
That's basically doing the same thing. I mean, it's buying up Hex and locking it up, but anybody that buys that, they could sell whenever they want, just like Maxi.
Okay.
So, I mean, it works like Maxi, but it's more of an institutional fund versus Maxi is more of it's a contract that, everybody's just interacted with, on blockchain. So, yeah, I mean, like things are changing. That's just how things work. Like, love it or hate it. It's the way of the world. Things, people build new things get better. And, maybe some of the community is going to divide. You're going to have fewer of the disciples, the original 12 disciples. Now we've got thousands and thousands of followers that have their own interpretation of what Hex should be.
Mm-hmm.
And this whale chart guy, he's, maybe he's one of the original guys. Who knows? I don't know what his story is, but
I think he's an OG undercover.
Well, I don't know.
The prodigal son.
Like prior to you just bringing him up tonight, I've never heard of the guy, so I really don't even have a clue. Yeah. Or he's new. Like maybe he's only been in for a few months, and he just saw something amazing that he can degen into, and he's like, oh yeah, I'll go for this.
Yeah, I'd like to learn more about his history. It'd be interesting to interview him just to see where he came from, because it looks like he's been around for a long time, but he just started talking about Hex in the last couple of weeks. It's like if even that long. I mean, the guy came out of nowhere, and there were some Hexicans that yesterday gave him a really hard time, just getting in really nasty fights with the guy.
But
it got really messy.
He's got 100,000 followers. Like, what are some of his old? Was he tweeting about other crypto prior to Hex? 6 months, year ago.
Yeah, he joined July 2015 on Twitter. So if you go back through, he's talking about all the different everything that's trending. Even still, he gives updates about what altcoins are trending, like Floki, Inu, and stuff like that. He's taken a big interest in some of the meme coins like Moj. already for Pulsechain. Let's see. I mean, if we go back further, I mean, just last week, I don't see anything about HEX starting last week even.
So yeah, I mean, this is just how these crypto cycles work. You get something that's done 1,000x, 10,000x, whatever, and then it dips. Somebody picks that up. Somebody realizes, okay, we got this 80 to 90% dip. It's going sideways. This is perfect. We got Pulse launching, and I'm sure he's just trying to capitalize. And he probably is, like, if you went on chain and figured out what address was his, I'm sure he bought $1 million, $2 million worth of HEX. Now he's going to pump it. So like at the bottom, like somebody was buying the bottom at 10 cents, 11 cents, 12 cents. Somebody was buying down there, and it was probably him and a bunch of people like him. And then once he has his bag and he's like, okay, I'm happy with what I've got. Now I start talking about it on my channel, on my Twitter, on all my social media stuff. So then he starts talking about it. It pumps, goes into the pump, and then, of course, who's the first guy to sell? It's that dude. If he's not staked, he's going to be selling.
Yeah.
And then he brings in new guys that stake, that are, in for 15 years or whatever, which is good for them. And then in the meantime, when HEX pumps, and he sells at a 2, 3, 4x, he's happy. He just made several million. He doesn't care.
Yeah, that's a good point. He might have just done some TA and realized that HEX was about to burst. He saw that Pulsechain was launching. He decided that this is a good time to get in and show his followers that he knows where the hot stuff is, where his followers can get a good, quick 10x return or something over the next 6 months, and then then he bounces. That could be it. Who knows? I guess maybe though, like I said, maybe it's our job though to rub off on him in the right way, to influence him and show him, what a strong community we are and how benevolent we are. And then maybe it'll sort of change his mind.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll want to stick around.
I think if he actually starts to learn and he's like, okay, well, if I stake for the max amount, at least 10 years to 15 years, I could be earning 35%, whatever the current rate is on a long stake like that, 32% or something. Maybe he's like, okay, well, I'll buy 3 million at the bottom and I'll stake 1 million of it for 10 years. And then the other 2 million that pumps, and it does a 5x, he dumps that, but then he still has that one portion, the 1 million he staked for 10 years or more. Then he starts seeing this thing go viral, and that's when his mindset changes. He's like, okay, well, maybe I was wrong about this. Like, I thought it was a pump and dump thing, and I was just buying into this whole pump and dump, and because that's where he probably came from. Whatever the coins that he was talking about prior, he was always trying to buy the bottom, and then he would tell all of his followers, then it would pump, and then he would dump it on them. Maybe now that possibly he's staked, and that his brain is going to switch. That's the little light switch in his head is going to get flipped, and then he's going to say, okay, well, there's actually more to this. I can actually take some profit from all my degen activities, and I could dump it into HEX and stake it for 5, 10, 15 years. And then when I'm done degenning, I've got a pile of money sitting at the end of the rainbow waiting for me.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that would be like the best case scenario, that he buys HEX, hypes it, and then he ends up sticking around because he actually learns about it. And most people do. Once most people just actually start to learn about it, and they're like, okay, there's more to it than just, this nice, beautiful symbol.
Yeah, I would suppose if he starts tweeting about staking, that would be a really good sign, that he's adopting Hex for the right reasons,
Yeah.
not just looking to flip it.
And
At least
it would be good for him. Like,
be
honestly,
good for him and good
like,
for his followers.
well, yeah, good for everybody, good for his followers. But like, if he wants to really pump his bags, he would convince people to stake for 15 years.
Hmm.
And then if he has liquid and it does a 10x, he can dump it on them. And then everybody else that is staked, they're in. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, like, it would be good for him to talk about staking, even if he wasn't staked, just to pump the thing.
Yeah. Yeah. It seems cheap if someone talks about Hex without talking about staking. It's like, you're not talking about it for the right reason. If you're talking about trading Hex, you don't understand Hex. I know people are going to come in and trade, but if you're an influencer and you're talking about Hex and you're not talking about staking, you're not influencing properly.
Yeah, but it's fine. There's always going to be every category of person is going to want to. There's dip buyers, there's breakout buyers, there's long-term holders, there's stakers, there's everybody with every coin. Every coin has, not every coin has staking, but there's always the dip buyers, the breakout buyers, the pump and dumpers, you name it. No matter what the coin is, they're gonna do it. And through all the history of Bitcoin and all the Bitcoin forks and everything, like there's like Bitcoin Gold and all these other Bitcoin Diamond and stuff, like nobody's doing anything with them, but somehow one day they do a 10x. Nobody knows why it happens, but somebody buys a whole bunch of it. They promote it on Twitter or something else, and then the thing pumps like crazy, and then it dumps. And it just, like, all of these things keep happening over and over again. But the thing with Hex is it's because it has that long-term stickiness to it, people don't just bail. Like once they find out how great it is, they stick around. They don't just bail out. Now, I mean, there's going to be the people that bail that just want to trade it, but most people that once they figure it out, they stay, and they're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Sure.
So yeah, I'm not too worried about this guy, and if anything, it's a good thing. So
yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to hurt us too much in the short term. I hope this isn't a sign of the direction that we're going, but maybe it's inevitable. I mean, who am I to control it? I just figured I'd get out my thoughts on here, and because I've been thinking about it a lot, and obviously people on Twitter are thinking about it a lot, so I figured I'd nip it in the bud, get your thoughts right away. So I appreciate it, Dave.
Yeah, no problem.
Thanks for making the time. By the way, I did want to tell you, and I do like to do this update. I know it's sort of cliche, but I did want to just tell you I just looked at Uniswap.vision, and Hex is at over 18 cents now, which puts us at our highest point since February 18th. So that's pretty exciting, man. We broke out of that line.
18 cents?
18 cents. Yeah, we broke 18 cents,
Nice.
at least on V2. So that's pretty dope.
Yeah, I think it's cool. Yeah, this is big because it just broke that recent high in March. Like the end of March, it was around 16 cents. It just broke that, which is a good, nice, healthy sign that we're starting to turn a corner.
Yeah, crushed that. Anyone that thought maybe this was going to be another little hump and have a fourth little hump in this downtrend, we broke that real nice. And we broke it at a couple different angles. I've been looking at a couple different angles. If you draw lines, and it's like we're breaking it in all different ways. So it's great.
Yeah, and I suspect we're gonna who knows what's going to happen, but being that Richard Hart is still saying Pulse is on track for mid-May.
Yeah.
And the devs are still on track for mid-May. Like this is the pump going in to the fork.
Yeah. I gotta think so, right?
And then once like right before the fork happens, it could be a few days before the fork, or like right when the fork happens, you have to assume there's going to be a dump.
Yeah.
But it could pump. Who knows? Like if it's pumping this early, maybe it pumps to 50 cents, 80 cents.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't make it there. I don't know. Like
the trend, if it followed this trend line of this kind of pump, by mid-May we're up over $1. There's no way this pump's got to round out. This is crazy. I can't believe
so
how
maybe
sharp
we make it 40 or 50 cents, and then we have a 50% dip or something.
Yeah.
And then once we dip that 50%, then it really kind of ramps up. But
yeah.
But we knew that
down to a penny.
No, I don't. We're not going back to a penny.
HEX down to a penny. HEX up to $1.
Once the wealth of all the Pulse comes in, and everybody wants to, all the true Hexicans that make a fortune on Pulse and PulseX, they're going to be dumping that into HEX and locking it up for a long time. So like every last little bit of all the gains going into Pulse are going to end up in HEX. That's what I believe.
That'd be freaking awesome.
So, it's going to, the dips will continue. There's no question about that, but
yeah,
it's just one extra thing to dump your wealth into once Pulse launches.
Yeah. No, it's been a good week. It's been so exciting watching this, especially with the floor being lava. I can't believe how the market's taking a big dump, and HEX is literally like the only thing besides stable coins you'll see green. That's a fantastic feeling. Yeah. And then just getting back to the whale chart there. So seeing him in poking his head into is super bullish. Whatever it turns out to be, positive or negative, it's a bullish sign for the short term. So I'm happy about that, man. It's been a good week.
And fun. Maybe he might be half of the reason this thing's pumping like crazy too.
I thought about that too. If he's got 100,000 followers, if even 5% of them
5%
actually buy,
yeah,
that could be a big part of the pump.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. Well, I'll let you go. I'm going to go upstairs, and hopefully my wife's still watching The Office. I'm not sure she is. But it's been good, man. I appreciate it. And we're still on for tomorrow, I guess. We're going to have a little bit longer of a talk. We'll talk fiat. And then are you still planning on discussing diversifying?
Yeah.
Cool. All right, man.
Yeah, well, all right. Sounds good.
All right. Talk to you then.
Yep. Take it easy.
All right.